that's huge. But I think for us and for my agency, and one of the things that I see that I'm like, oh my gosh, is knowing that their digital marketing strategy.
Welcome to Counterpunch. My name is Phillip Thune, CEO of Textbroker and the Commissioner of the Digital Marketing League. We are very pleased to have with us today Julie Ewald, Chief Everything Officer at Impressa Solutions. Julie, welcome to Counterpunch.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
All right, so the way Counterpunch works is I'm going to ask Julie a couple of questions. She's going to have 1 minute to answer. You can see the 1 minute on the clock. I'm going to answer that same question. I also have a minute. And then we've got Cassandra, who is our judge today. Cassandra will let us know who won that question. We'll do that 2 more times, and we'll see who wins this episode. Julie is a unbelievable expert on all things SEO, digital marketing in general. Hopefully you'll like this episode. You'll like her answers, but I will promote her probably now. I'll promote her at the end. If you do want to follow her on Twitter, it's at Julie Ewald. Highly recommend we do that. All right, so with that introduction, Julie, let's jump right into it. You've been doing this for a long time. You've got lots of clients. What's a common mistake you often see clients make when it comes to SEO?
So I've seen a lot of mistakes, but I think the most common one that we tend to see is folks getting really fixated on SEO and forgetting that SEO was really made up of lots of different things. There are lots of moving parts and needs to fit into the cohesive strategy. A lot of folks get really into, they come in with maybe partial knowledge of what SEO is, are really hung up on it, and are not able to have a nice cohesive strategy that actually is able to drive the results they're looking for, essentially.
Got it. Okay. And I think you've got plenty of time to spare. So I was just going to follow up a little bit. What, what's your, when you tell them that, is it typical that your clients kind of get it, or do you still struggle with that?
It depends. There are certain groups of clients that, totally understand, and they're like, okay, I realize that there is more. They're open for education, and there are some other folks that, they, have drunk some Kool-Aid somewhere and do not want to want to hear it. So,
Got it. Makes sense. Okay, and right on time. Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think it's interesting. We've got a lot of agencies, SEO agencies that use Textbroker, and that whole kind of communication with clients, and Cassandra's going to put 1 minute on the clock, and you can start my countdown, because this is kind of part of my answer too, right? A whole lot of clients who they know they need to do something, or they read something, with us, right? We're creating content for people. So we're like, okay, I know I need content on my website. But I think what they don't get is that it's never over. And maybe to the extent that you're sort of not competing in a very, your local business, it's not a very competitive niche. You probably can just make sure your website's sort of covering all the right keywords and everything, and can take a break. But for most companies, most businesses where it is competitive, where your competitors are constantly putting out new content, doing new things from an SEO perspective, right? The sense that like it never ends. And I think the other frustrating part, but this is why sticking to it makes so much sense, is that it always changes, right? Google's always making changes. You don't understand exactly what happened. Suddenly your rankings disappear, or you're on the second page. And Google won't give you that much insight into what, just keep doing the right thing. So yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest issues we've seen. Oh, and I was on time. I'm not usually on time, so that was pretty good. Julie, good answer. Hopefully I had a pretty good answer. I'm going to wait for Cassandra to let us know who won that one. Julie wins that one. The crowd agrees. Crowd agrees with you there, Julie.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to jump into round 2. Again, I'm going to ask Julie questions. She's going to have 1 minute, so will I. How do you help clients make sure keywords make sense for each step of the buyer's journey?
No, that's a really good question. So one of the things that we really like to lead with is what we call an SEO first content strategy. So when we go in and do any initial keyword research, we start going in by looking at, ahead of this, we've already gone in nice deep dive with the brand. So we understand who their various audiences are, what their pain points are, and what it would look like as they go through that buyer's journey of what their concerns would be or what kind of things they're interested in. So then we already know this stuff. So we have this keyword research that comes back. It makes it a lot easier to start sorting through and be like, well, which audience is this going to speak to? What product or feature set or what benefits or and then looking at what stage makes the most sense. Of course, there's some of these keywords that make more sense for the top of the funnel or the awareness stage, beginning of their buyer's journey, when they're like, how do I do this? Why does this happen? Versus things that are going to be more suited for, the end of the line when they're wondering about, actual pricing or what it looks like to get started or what onboarding looks like. So I'm going to go over. I'm
That,
going to
that's
totally
keep
boff it
keep
here,
going. We'd
but
rather have the great information.
yeah, but you know, I think that one of the things is once we get to sort all of these good pieces out, it's then looking at what kind of content stories we can put together where we start at those top of the funnel keywords based on the pain points, and then kind of even working with the rest of those keywords to fill in the rest of that content story, so that if we are nurturing someone throughout the entire buyer's journey, we're able to use keywords that remain on that theme but are still stage appropriate. So
Got it. Okay. Right. Referee. All right. That was it. That was good. No, and I appreciate that you kept going, because I think that was we always better to have a good answer. Although sometimes you do. We'll see. We'll see if Cassandra penalizes you for going over. All right. So yeah, I think my answer to that is going to be very similar. So right, you talked about the fact that you start off by doing kind of all the right keyword research and sort of figuring it out. And I'm going to sort of pile on that, maybe just by saying my advice is look at the results, right? So we've got clients who are ordering and they know about keywords, they know how important they are, and they want the content about a particular keyword, and maybe they get it right. Buying guide is something you do at the beginning of a buyer's journey, whereas kind of more calls to action, if you think they're closer to actually making that purchase decision. Um, but what my recommendation would be, kind of look at the results, because sometimes they can surprise you, and we've seen that with clients where they think a keyword is kind of an early stage funnel keyword, something that somebody's just looking at when they're thinking about it, and they think another keyword is more apt or more appropriate for the buying stage. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. So we're all about data. We're all about telling our clients to track everything. And I'm going to go over too, but figure out, make sure that those various keywords and what you think it should happen actually is happening. Because I don't know, feel like all the time, right? We get surprised that the keywords we think are important for some stage are not. All right, so and and we both went over. You went over more, and I think, I don't know, Cassandra. Sometimes she's in a good mood, sometimes not. Yep, sounds like I won that one. I think probably because you went over by more, but that means that it is now 1-1. We are tied. We have one more question for this episode of Counterpunch. Whoever wins this one wins the whole thing. And Julie, your turn. You're going to ask me a question. I'll get the 1 minute, and then you'll also have that 1 minute after mine.
all right. So I would love to know what's something you wish that clients knew was essential for their digital marketing strategy, regardless of the company size.
Got it. And I'm going to say not clearly goals, right? Creating goals is important, but making sure that they're measurable goals. And I get it. I understand branding, why you see, Red Bull is always cited as an example, great example of a great content marketing company. They put their, they do all these adventure sports, and you're kind of like, well, how does that tie back to an energy drink? Well, it's branding. I don't know. I'm always feeling like for most businesses, measuring and making sure you're actually getting sales. I mean, Red Bull continues to do that because it works, because they're selling. And so that's the thing. It's clearly having goals, but then figuring out how to measure those goals and make sure it's getting to what you want. Just kind of like my former answer, right? Which is, if you think certain keywords are for certain things, just measure it. Make sure you're right about that. Because if you're kind of giving people sort of early funnel information at the end of the stage, you're probably missing out on conversions. So yeah, that's my big one, and I think I got in there. I got in there just on time. All right, Julie, I'm going to turn the tables. You've got 1 minute. Let us know how you would answer that question.
No, this is, it's something that goals, I totally concur with you there. I think also goals and making sure goals align with budget and all of that kind of good stuff. That's huge. But I think for us and for my agency, and one of the things that I see that I'm like, oh my gosh, is knowing that their digital marketing strategy needs to align with their sales, with their sales efforts. We see a lot of folks that they'll be doing all of the right things in terms of digital marketing. They put together these amazing strategies, but they don't have appropriate handoffs to sales. So they don't look at how to qualify the leads that are coming in, how to look at the KPIs and see what are indicators of success, when these things should be getting surfaced for a sales team and doing those appropriate handoffs, and also how to best leverage the marketing collateral and the things that they're producing in during their strategy for the sales process, and being able to have those handoffs so that when sales folks are going to follow up with their leads, or even just sending out cold outreach, to tap into all the great blog posts and content offers and all of the amazing stuff that they made otherwise.
Got it. And right on time. I think that was actually a perfect answer. I'll just add on to that is, yeah, I would say also get operations involved, right? Depends on, I guess, on the kind of
Yeah.
business you're in. But I don't know how many companies I've found where they do all this marketing and the internal employees don't even know about it, don't know that there's a new blog post that
Yeah.
they just published that's kind of this huge effort, don't know about this big video. But yeah, no, I love that answer. And I'm hearing from Cassandra that you won that one. I'm not surprised. So Julie wins that question. She wins. Yep. And that sort of
Thank you.
that sort of ends this episode. So Julie, first of all, thanks so much for being here. Again, I want to tell you, if you want more great insight from Julie, follow her on Twitter at Julie Ewald. Highly recommend that. If you liked this episode of Counterpunch, hopefully you'll click the like button. If you have any comments, please leave them below. And of course, if you want to stay tuned on all things Digital Marketing League, press that subscribe button. Thanks a lot. Bye.